My grandfather in the late 1950s, early 1960s had a compost pile in southern Indiana. My grandfather passed when I was 5, so I didn't get to hear this story from him, but my grandmother told me when I was in graduate school studying environmental education. I was talking about all the solutions and feeling pretty frustrated actually at that time that people weren't just like doing these things that seem really simple. And she was like, compost. She had a nice, sweet Southern accent. I think your grandfather did that. And she proceeded to tell me that my grandfather in the late 50s was considered a total weirdo in the neighborhood because he had a compost pile. And he would go around to the neighbors and say, like, oh, are you throwing those leaves away? I want them. And so going even as little back as that in our American culture history, it was already considered really weird to have a compost pile in the 1950s. How did we get into this situation where it wasn't the norm to compost our food waste and our yard scraps?
Well, that's a really, really good and interesting question, Paige. We don't want to blame everything like on the Industrial Revolution and the change that made from a more 50s kind of mentality where we reuse things and we were frugal and we grew a lot of our own food and ate a lot of our own food and didn't have the, quote, modern conveniences that we have today. I mean, ancient and indigenous societies have long understood the cycle of life and the inherent circularity about growing your own food and eating plants and then making and using compost to keep the land healthy and productive to regenerate more food. And somewhere along the line of we lost to industry the natural processes that we've had for so long.